Alrighty, everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to the Journeyman Sports Podcast. Excuse me. Today got a fun little video for you guys. Hoping this is something. It's just gonna be kind of new. Just a little quick blurb. Wanted to talk about the teams on my shirt right now. Actually, the Indianapolis Colts. Talk about their offseason briefly, and then just kind of some moves I think they can make because this is a team that's in an interesting spot. We know going into last season, they had expectations to contend. They brought in Matt Ryan, Stephon Gilmore. They severely underperformed due to some injuries, etc., stuff like that. They went 4-13-1, I believe, or 4-12-1. Not good, no matter how you slice it. They have lost Bobby Okereke, traded Stephon Gilmore, cut Matt Ryan, did not resign Paris Campbell. They've lost some big names. They have signed Isaiah McKenzie, who I think can be a decent player. We've seen him be a solid contributor on the Bills. He's a really good speed guy. Don't know exactly what he'll bring to the Colts offense, but this video, also just to clarify, is just from a point of view. I'm a Jaguars fan. If you guys don't know, if this is your first time watching, I just live in Indy, so I hear a lot about the Colts. I'm getting a lot of that just naturally on Twitter, all that. So this is just, if I were the Colts, this is what I would do to try and make myself a contender. And first, we'll start off with finishing free agency, so to speak. And I think there's a trade that should be made. Jerry Jeudy, we know he's a guy that's been on the market for the Broncos. And I think this would be a great piece for the Colts. I think Michael Pittman is going to get his extension, and Jonathan Taylor is going to get his extension as well. And this is the problem that is with this trade is the salary cap aspect, how the Colts would make money to sign Jerry Jeudy, Michael Pittman, and Jonathan Taylor. They will have a quarterback, at least I'm assuming on a rookie contract. We'll talk about that in a few minutes, but I think Jerry Jeudy, we've heard a player in a second-round pick, and I think Kenny Moore and a second-round pick for Jerry Jeudy is pretty good value. I think Kenny Moore as a slot corner just doesn't fit with the Colts right now. We saw him be way more successful when Matt Eberflus, who's the head coach of the Bears. We saw him be way more successful in that system versus last year. I don't know if he can play outside corner because the Colts have never done that with him. He is traditionally a slot. He's a little undersized for an outside corner, but it is an interesting prospect with this trade, and I think if I were the Colts, I would be going the opposite way of what Chris Ballard thinks, where Ballard thinks you can't have enough linemen. Me personally, I tend to side with you can't have enough weapons, especially in today's NFL. You see teams like the Bengals. We've seen it with the Chiefs in the past. The Cowboys now. I mean, there's a lot of weapons on these teams, and those are the teams that contend. And I think the Colts, the wide receiver room is definitely a weakness. I think you get, at that point, then you would have Michael Pittman, Jerry Jeudy, Alec Pierce, who had a solid rookie year. I think he has a lot of promise. And then Isaiah McKenzie. So I think that's a solid wide receiver room. And, the big thing outside of this is going to be, outside of this trade that I'm proposing for the Colts, I think is really going to be to look at the draft, which we'll talk about now. The Colts are at a really interesting spot in the draft at number 4. With number 1, Carolina, we know they're taking a quarterback. Heard recently that they are very high on Anthony Richardson, and not to say that they've fallen in love with him, but they are very, very high on his potential, which I think is fair. That's a fair evaluation of him. You have the Texans at 2. They're going to take a quarterback. Right now at 3 is the Cardinals, which I think if the Colts were smart, they would just bite the bullet, give up a little bit extra, get up to 3, make sure you get a quarterback. Make sure you get one of the top 3, because if you go to the 4th, I don't like Will Levis personally. So if I were the Colts, I would give up this year's one, give them some picks next year, a fringe starter player. Make sure you get a quarterback, because as we've seen with this franchise, it's been very mediocre since Andrew Luck left. You've seen it every time they've played on TV. The quarterback sends Luck. They need to put an end to it. I mean, I can only imagine how tired the coaching staff, the front office, every year it's a new person. Go get one of the best quarterbacks. It's Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, or Anthony Richardson. Go get one of them. Just trade into the top 3. Make sure you secure one of them. I don't think if you're going to have to give up way too much, I think Gardner Minshew is an okay. I think he's a serviceable player. Ideally, you really want to get that quarterback. If I were the Colts, I would not be happy with drafting a Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. I think those guys are going to be great in the NFL, but for the Colts, it's not what they need. They need to be aggressive, which they haven't been for a while. And they need to go get one of the top 3 quarterbacks. And I'm assuming the Panthers are taking Bryce Young or Anthony Richardson. I'm going to assume CJ Stroud falls to 3 to the Colts, which I think is absolute best case for them. I think Anthony Richardson's stock is only going to continue to go up. I think he's a very good prospect. I think in the right system with some time, he's going to be a great player. But the Colts, I think best case is CJ Stroud. Him and Bryce Young are the most pro-ready players at the quarterback position in this draft, and that's what the Colts need. They have a roster that is, I think in the top half of the league. I think we'll have to see exactly what Shane Steichen can do with the team. I like what he did in Philly. I like the work he's done with quarterbacks in his past, and I think the Colts quarterback is going to get a great person to learn from. And yeah, I mean, the Colts are in an interesting spot because you're going to have to pay some of the guys, especially if you make that Judy trade, which I think would be a great move for the Colts. They need to be aggressive and just make some moves. I don't even want to say that trading for Judy is a risk, so to say, like a risk, because I think he's a very good player. I think we've seen him struggle from bad quarterback play, and I think whatever rookie quarterback the Colts would end up getting, he would be a great help for. So, yeah, I mean, the draft, you just have to be aggressive. I think you need to move up top 3, make sure you get one of the quarterbacks, and then you build it that way. We know the Colts are very good late in the draft at getting good guys, developing them, especially linebackers. Look for them to go late on that still. And then, I mean, Houston has gotten a lot better this offseason, in my opinion. That's another video I want to make here soon. Jacksonville, with the money they had tied up last offseason, they've pretty much stayed put. Tennessee seems to be thinking about essentially just starting their rebuild. So, I mean, this division is gettable. I mean, Jacksonville is going to be good this year. I think DeMeco Ryans is going to be really good there. I think he's going to start to build his culture, and I think that roster is ready to make a jump and be a 6-7 win team potentially this upcoming season. I really like the moves they've made in the offseason. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments, what you guys would do if you were the Colts. Let me know if I'm an idiot or if I could potentially be a GM by tomorrow and one of these teams could just give me a call. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure, as always, to like, comment, and subscribe. This has been the Journeyman Sports Podcast. We'll see you guys next time.